I grew up with nature, and I think it's one of those things that gets in your blood and it stays there. It doesn't become diluted.
Oh, I just enjoy sort of being surrounded by the nature here and the beautiful light of the landscapes out here and the open spaces, and just having some knowledge of what's around you. And the more you look, the more you find.
Barry Janke and Barney Hines are members of the Queensland Naturalists Club, a group of like-minded nature lovers who love nothing more than rambling through the bush exploring their natural environment. Today I've joined more than 30 of them checking out Mount Felix, a rocky outcrop near the small town of Stonehenge in outback Queensland. G'day, I'm Ollie Wickham. I'm a reporter based in Longreach, and today we're here at Noonanbard Station as guests of Angus Emmett, a keen naturalist himself.
Well, we've got the great pleasure at the moment of hosting the Queensland Naturalists Club on their yearly big expedition, and they're out with us for about 10 days. So at the moment we've just driven out to Mount Felix, which is on a property to the west of our place, and we've just almost reached the top, and we're just waiting for the ones that are walking up to catch us, and we're going to go and have a look around up here on top of the mountain.
And so what are you hoping to find while we're out here?
Well, there's lots of interesting plants up here that only grow up on top of these mesas. There's a particular shrub up here that's only known from this mesa and one other further north from here, and a whole host of other plants that only grow in these restricted areas. There's also things like rock rats and bats and hopefully some black-headed pythons and echidnas and that sort of thing, and raptors, different birds of prey like the cliff faces. But yeah, we're just looking around, just something different. Most of these people live on the east coast. They don't get out in the arid zone all that often, so trying to show them a range of different habitats and keep their interest up and running, which is important to do.
And so you were saying earlier that there's a lot of the subspecies in this area haven't been documented before.
Oh, there's species, well, when you talk about insects, there's heaps of species, but there's a range of reptiles still out here that are not described yet, and we've still got some frogs that aren't described, but when you get to plants and invertebrates, there's heaps and heaps that haven't got scientific names on them yet. It's still new to science.
The climb to the top of Mount Felix is a 5-minute scramble over steep rocky ground, but it's well worth the effort when you get to the top. The views across the plains below are amazing. The mesa itself is just 100 metres long, but it takes the members all morning to scour its length, observing, cataloguing and collecting specimens. One of those scrambling among the rocks, eyes down, is Barry Janke.
I've been a member in it for nearly 50 years now, and when these long excursions come up, it's a great opportunity to see other parts of Queensland, such as here.
So where are we, and what are we standing in front of, these little webs you were just taking me through?
We're on Mount Felix, so I'm told, and what we're looking at here in this very, very craggy top of this mountain, little crevices which can be used by a very interesting group of insects called web spinners. They're a strange group of insects which, as I said, live on rock crevices, and they build for themselves a little web. But it's a web that's not for catching anything, it's a web for sleeping under. And they sleep under there during the day and come out at night and forage for insects in their territory. Very interesting thing about them, compared to other insects, they're rather strange in that their front legs are as like their back legs, so they're a bit like a four-wheel drive vehicle. And that way they can go backwards and forwards just as fast in either direction, which means that if they have a predator coming in one of their entrances, they can quickly back out the other. They are fairly uncommon, and I don't know how many species there are, but it's a very small group. And as I said, they're specialists just on rock crevices.
And so what brings you out into this wide open space? What attracts you to these kind of adventures?
Well, being from the country myself, but quite different country to this. I'm from the Moreton district originally, but I just like the space, and I like the diversity of plants and animals that are in this area. It's the openness.
The Queensland Naturalists Club itself is more than 100 years old. Harry Hines and his family have been members for many years.
Yeah, it's great. So my kids are here with 5 of their cousins as well. So a bit like us when we grew up, we got taken on natural history outings with the club and some other stuff that our family did. So we got exposed to the bush and travelling from an early age and wildlife in particular. So it's great. The kids really love seeing these things, and they've just been up there exploring some caves in the jump up country here and found a few dead wallaroos tucked up in there, but there were some bats hanging up as well, and we managed to catch one of those bats, and we've just measured it and keyed it out, and they all just stood around and really enjoyed trying to work out what species of bat we'd just caught.
And this is hands-on science that they may be learning in school, but they don't get the chance to learn this hands-on.
Yeah, well, I suppose they're in primary school. They're learning pretty basic stuff at the moment about science, but yeah, just trying to work out and document what's out there in our environment. We're just getting some little incidental observations and exposing the kids to some of those things, and they're learning on the way.
It's not just important for the children to get in touch with their natural environment. Harry Hines believes the club and its citizen scientists play a valuable role in helping to discover and record the wildlife of Australia.
There's a huge network of people across Australia that are slowly contributing to our knowledge of wildlife in Australia. There's still new species to be discovered out there. There are things like night parrots which have just been rediscovered. So yeah, there's just lots of things that professionals and amateurs alike can contribute. So the club over the years has its members on outings have found new species of vertebrates, plenty of new species of plants, discovered new fungi, new records for Queensland, new records for all sorts of areas. So through members going out and, say, collecting plants on trips like this and submitting them to the Queensland Herbarium, it's added enormously to knowledge of where these things occur across the state. And of course, that then helps, for some of the threatened species, what some of the threats might be and what some of the management implications might be in some areas. But yeah, the club has made some very significant contributions through its members over a very long period of time.
And helping to keep that fine tradition going is Harry's brother, Barry Hines.
I've got my two girls here. They're 6 and 3, and they love getting out in the bush. They can't break anything. They can make a mess. There's not many rules out here, so it's good for them. Yeah, they really appreciate having a bit of freedom out here in the outback, I guess. I think it's really important for kids. We live in the big city in Brisbane, and I think it's very important that they have that connection to the big brown land that's Australia, really, and not just be city focused, and really understand that there's such a big world out here, and you don't need iPads and electronic things to appreciate it. You just need the time to get out here and enjoy it. So there's so much to do once you're out here.